What you're about to see are examples of what is known as an alternate universe, when a series of events change from what you are familiar with to produce an entirely new reality. For example, the Special Forces were not created by the United States. They were created by the Soviets as a joint operation part of the KGB. Its general, Sonya Blade, hires a certain ice-cold warrior with an empty, frozen heart to stop America from taking over the world and allowing Soviet domination to rule over all. My name is Sub-Zero. Real name Kuai Liang, KGB agent number LK520. I was hired by the Special Forces in a rather interesting way. I was the leader of the Lin Kuei, a Russian group of people who decided to live away from the furies of the Cold War. It was a conflict that did not interest us. However, when General Sonya Blade flew in by helicopter, I knew something was going on. She was trespassing on ground that was deemed neutral. Why would she invade? She only wanted to fight in order to prove my worth. I'm going to freeze her solid for this transgression, but if she is willing to leave afterwards, maybe she'll be worth keeping alive. Keeping an eye on the outside world is very important to us. In our seclusion, we may not know if America would doom us all.
Special Forces versus Lin Kuei?
If you wish.
I do.
Round 1. Fight! Round 2. Fight!
Thankfully, that helicopter was still around. I had not expected the KGB to be such fierce fighters. Fortunately, she decided not to kill me, only that she wanted to negotiate with us. She still wanted to respect our sovereignty, but she had reason to believe that the Americans were planning something dangerous, and she wanted us on her side to protect not just Russia, but the world. I was intrigued by this when I heard something outside. It sounded like warfare. Outside of a secret KGB base, in the middle of the Siberian dead woods, something was not right. I had stepped outside and saw my hated enemy, that Shiraiyu agent known as Scorpion. He must have allied with the Americans. I will rip his head and spine from his body for this, as soon as I figure out why he was throwing fire. Literally.
Murderer. I tire of maintaining our innocence.
I will relieve you of your burden. Round 1. Fight!
Test my patience.
Round 2. Fight!
action.
Sub-Zero wins. Fatality.
Taking Scorpion's head as a trophy was a silver lining. Many people were dead, Lin Kuei and Special Forces. Who could have known that our base was here? We certainly didn't tell any Americans. At the same time, however, one of our KGB agents had disappeared. After some research, it turned out that he was actually an American spy by the name of John Carlton, who was known in America as Johnny Cage. He is a movie star, but his powers were all but fake as far as we knew, and as far as I cared. He was supposedly headed for my temple. No American would transgress on neutral land so long as I lived. It was time to make an example of this film star.
You really want this?
More than you know.
Fair enough.
Round 1. Fight!
You cannot win. The cold slows you, Mr. King.
Round 2. Fight! Finish him! Sub-Zero wins. Fatality.
While it turned out that Johnny Cage's power was real, I was still puzzled over how exactly their powers came to be. We had learned from spying on the Americans that Johnny Cage's powers came from some sort of Mediterranean cult, supposedly breeding him to be a godly warrior. Some godly warrior. He is now on a bed of ice spikes in front of my temple, to serve as a warning to anybody who would interrupt on neutral land and break our allegiance with Russia. It would later turn out that there was a project known as Firefly that gave the Shirarayu forces pyrokinetic abilities through genetic manipulation of the sickest variety. Sonya Blade had one last mission for me. It was to cripple the traitor Kano. He had been selling weapons to the Americans and believed that betraying Mother Russia was a good idea. Oh, how wrong he was.
Kano.
My favorite kitchen appliance.
First, I'll freeze your mouth closed.
Round 1. Fight! Sub-Zero wins. Fatality.
After disposing of the traitorous trash known as Kano, we had been bid adieu by General Blade. But I decided against it. After all, we had spent a lot of time in Russia with the KGB, learning of the glories of the Soviet Empire. As America seemed to begin to crumble away, I began to spend more time with the general, and decided that we would no longer be neutral. The Lin Kuei would officially be allied with the Soviet cause. It seemed, however, that America had one last trick up its capitalist pig sleeve. They were going to send a robotic facsimile of me to try and kill me. Fight fire with fire seemed to be their plan. But I was going to win. No robotic double created by American pigs will ever trump the glory of Mother Russia! It was time to show these Americans how deadly a human warrior of great power could truly be, and that no robot could ever replace them.
Metal fool.
You cannot prevent evolution.
I have evolved beyond you.
Round 1. Fight!
I will freeze your soul.
Round 2. Fight! Finish him!
Now you have known one of the great examples of the alternate universe. The Soviets won the Cold War, not America, thanks to the might of the Lin Kuei and Sub-Zero. But what other possibilities could be there? What other existences exist, if that makes any sense? Next time, we will look at an alternate feudal Japan, where a blind swordsman becomes the greatest samurai in all of Japan, serving under a mighty empress and slaying a demon lord.